What's going on, guys? It's Kata, aka Khalil Too Short, and this is going to be a different kind of video than what I usually do. We like to roast, we like to make fun, we like to tell jokes and things like that, but sometimes you really have to be serious about the things that you enjoy and that you love, and actually have like a genuine take and discussion about things that you enjoy. So that's what we're going to do here today. So I am a Star Wars fan, through and through. My father, my mom, they introduced me to the OT trilogy back when I was way young. We had the videos on VHS and things like that. I used to run them over and over and over again. I had a lot of games, a lot of EU books and comics. I read them. My dad, he took me to the prequel movies and I watched those. And admittedly, we know the prequels aren't that good, but they're still Star Wars. And I thought that the idea of Star Wars was one that everybody understood. It's a story about family, it's a story about love, it's a story about good versus evil, friendships, redemption, and most of all, hope. So, with Star Wars, the fans kept Star Wars alive for years throughout the 90s, the early 2000s, and even before Disney bought it. The fans kept Star Wars alive. We would have arguments and discussions and things like that, and it would all be based on lore, like who's more powerful, what kind of situations would these characters be put in if they were put in different time periods. Could Mace Windu have beaten Palpatine if Anakin didn't show up? Things like that. Those kind of conversations will be happening in Star Wars. But ever since The Last Jedi, the fandom has been divided, and the only arguments now are you a racist or are you a sexist? And I hate these arguments because, contrary to popular belief, we would much rather be talking about the things that we love in these properties: Star Wars, Marvel, DC, Star Trek, things like that. We would much rather be nerding out about it rather than talking about these people interjecting identity politics into it. I would much rather be talking about how cool of an idea that Finn was, being a black stormtrooper going to the rebellion, and he might have even been a Jedi. That was the most hype I've ever been for Star Wars. Everybody was looking forward to that, and then The Last Jedi came out, and it's like, well, just throw him in the background, I guess. And the fandom has been so divided ever since that time, and Disney has just been dividing it more and more with the crappy stories they've been putting out. Hell, they had something on track with Mando Season 1 and even most of Mando Season 2, while admittedly it's kind of like an Easter egg kind of season. It still had fandoms. It still had people that were willing to give it a shot. The excitement was getting back into Star Wars. And then you had Kenobi, which was terrible, the Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, and then just recently, The Acolyte. We had things like that that are just not only putting out crappy stories, but are also disrespecting lore, disrespecting the fans, and with wasting your time with these crappy stories and characters. And you have the media, Disney, and their shields, which we're going to go over, which are trying to flip the conversation into, you don't like it because black women, you don't like it because this, you don't like it because that, when it's all been, we don't like it because you don't know how to write. We've seen stories in this universe be told from different perspectives. We had an entire collection called the EU. All of those stories, all of those books were about different characters and different time periods and things like that. You have Knights of the Old Republic, which is a fantastic video game telling the story about the Old Republic, and it has nothing to do with the Skywalkers, but it's still Star Wars because they knew how to write characters. It was very mature for its time, and it was very good at what it did. We have Republic Commando. That is as mature as I can think of for a Star Wars video game. It was based on the Clone Wars and the war and the thing that they were going through. It was hella deep, hella dark, and it was great. So you can tell these kind of stories in this universe if you know how to write. They clearly do not. So what do? They immediately go and blame fans for them not knowing how to do their job. And this recent thing with the Acolyte is more proof of that they don't want to have the actual conversation, that people don't like what you're putting out because it's crappy, not because you have a black person in there or a gay person in there or a woman. Nobody cares. Nobody gives a fuck. They care when you come in and try to tell them that they should care about these things, when all in all, they just want a good product. If you've wasted somebody's time, they are within their rights to say whatever they want to say about it. And most of the time, it is critical of what you're putting out in the story, in the characters. I won't sit here and act like there aren't people that don't like these things because there's women or black, but the exceptions don't make the rule. And it brings me full circle to the Disney Star Wars shills. So we have Cal Katarn here. Now, if you don't know who that character is, you should look him up. He's a badass character in the EU. This guy is the most Disney shill of all Disney shills. It doesn't matter how bad Ahsoka was. It doesn't matter how bad Kenobi was. It didn't even matter how bad The Rise of Skywalker was. This guy will shill for Disney because he gets his access. He gets that directors, he gets to meet the writers and things like that. And if you don't believe me, he even has the proof. Here he is with Dave Filoni, who is terrible on the set of Ahsoka. Come on, he's met Kathleen Kennedy. He's met Leslie Headland, things of these nature, because he likes that access. He does not really care how good Star Wars could be. He cares about how good Star Wars could be for him. The access he could get, the media coverage he could get, the clout he could get. That's all he cares about. It's all about be positive. If you don't have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. And this narrative is exactly why all of our favorite IPs have gone down the drain. It is in a fan's right to say what they like and what they dislike about something. Contrary to popular belief, the people that are saying they don't like the things that you're doing in Star Wars, they love Star Wars. That's why they are upset. I don't know why you can't put two and two together. People don't want to just hate things just to hate things. They don't like it because you're ruining it. And everybody who has made videos, who has commented on the sequel trilogy and everything Disney Star Wars, everything they have talked about has been the characters, the story, everything like that. They're talking about everything going on with it and never about the personal person. Nobody is going after John Boyega or Kelly Marie Tran or Daisy Ridley or things like that. Because why? They're not going out attacking fans and calling them sexist and calling them racist. Nobody was talking about Amanda Stenberg. They were talking about her performance in the show until she came out and started calling the fans racist and sexist. You can't be upset when somebody rebuttals to you for you saying something to them. That doesn't make any sense. And now we have the culmination of all these Disney Star Wars shills who said, oh, we are the ones that are on the right side of history. There are more of us. Hey, listen to us. This is what we do. They have come and done a attack on people's YouTube channels to try to get them demonetized because they don't like that they don't have the same opinion as them. And it's a full circle moment that they don't really understand, which is so hilarious to me. You have become the very thing that you swore to destroy. You're literally fighting for the empire to silence people for having opinions on something that they like. You would much rather chalk it up to racism and sexism than address the problem that people have, which is telling terrible stories with terrible characters and using identity politics to put it above story and blame fans when they don't like you doing so. So they've come together and they've tried to take down Geeks and Gamers, Ryan Kennel, Nerdrotic, Star Wars Theory even. They're trying to go after all these YouTubers that talk about Star Wars because they don't like the fact that they are talking about Star Wars. It doesn't make sense to me. If you are a fan, positive or negative, you can say what you want to say. And if fans are being overwhelmingly negative about something, maybe you should pay attention to what they're saying and not chalk it up to some kind of ism or phobe or whatever and just listen, because most of the criticism is legitimate, but they don't want to listen to that. You know why? Because their overlords, the empire, Disney, is telling them that these people are bad. These people need to be stopped. They can't say what you want them to say. It's so mind-boggling to me how they don't see how tone deaf they are. Like, you're literally going out here and attacking people's freedom of speech because you don't like the fact that they don't like terrible characters. I didn't see you guys come out and talk about Disney when they shrunk Finn on the poster for China because he was black. You didn't say anything about how they put Finn in the background of the sequel trilogy because he was black. You didn't say any of these things when it was going on, but we did. We called it out. We said something about it. But as long as you get those early access goodie bags and your acolyte bags with blankets and things like that, you don't really care. This is the same community that had a video saying there are more of us, there are more of us, when you didn't even watch the show, and two, you had to take the video down because you didn't have enough representation in it. The funny thing is, Star Wars is above all of that, and I thought you would understand it. It doesn't matter if you're gay, if you're black, if you're white, if you're Asian, if you're tall, if you're short. Star Wars is about universal themes. That's why everyone could resonate with it. It didn't matter about that stuff because at the end of the day, it's a story about love and a story about hope and redemption. You guys have literally turned this franchise and this community into such a toxic place that you are starting to blame others for toxicity. People being negative isn't toxic. It's a reaction to something that they love being turned into crap. If you are a real fan, as you like to say, you wouldn't sit here and just let something that you love go down the drain. That doesn't make any sense to me. And doing a coordinated attack to try to get people's channels taken down, you are the very thing you're trying to destroy. Why don't you get that? I really don't like shills. I don't. I don't like people that will go to bat for a multi-billion-dollar company because they get free access. To me, you're fake. To me, if anybody in your circle or whatever happens to say one thing out of line, you'll throw them out. That's not the kind of people you want to be around. You're not real. You're fake as hell. And then naming yourself after Cal Katarn, of all people, and being this fucking soft and soy, it's crazy, man. I made this video because I love Star Wars. I really do. Like, I would much rather see it be successful than not. It's not my fault that they put out crappy stuff. It's really not. They put out Andor. Andor is amazing. I love Andor. I talk about it all the time. You don't see me crapping on it. And guess who the lead is? It's a Latino. So be serious right now, man. That's never the discussion that people want to have. That's the discussion you tried to force out there to project and to shield from actual criticisms that people have. You're showing everybody that you don't really care about freedom of speech. You don't care about Star Wars. You don't care about being a fan. You care about being on the right side of history in an echo chamber. That's what you care about. It's sad that something I've grown up with has turned into something so vitriolic when it's all about hope and love and friendship and things like that. It's so crazy to me. And it's even crazier how people who don't like crappy storytelling are being blamed for it and not the people that are projecting this crap onto others. It's ridiculous. But I say all that to say, I do want Star Wars to be better. I don't think it will be under its current leadership and these Disney shills going out. I just don't see it happening. And I hope that they come to the realization that we would much rather have the discussion. We would much rather have the lore talks and the things that we used to talk about in this fandom and not about personal politics. Nobody wants to talk about that. We just want to talk about good stories. So if you bring that back, that's where the community will go back to. But as long as you keep putting this out and then you're going out there projecting it onto others, that's where we're going to be. But as always, man, hey, I hope y'all have a great day. I love Star Wars. I wanted to come back. It probably won't. Y'all be easy.